Hello. So welcome to the Bold Trail Academy. Pitt Miller and I here. And what's our agenda today, Pitt?
Wow, the bold trail where no one else has been, huh?
That's right.
All
That's right.
right. Well, let's say thanks for our producer, Steve Hillier out there. Without him, it wouldn't have happened. We appreciate you. Thanks for everybody being on here. Great question, Alex. You know what I think we should talk about? I think we should talk about this, maybe just like an overview of what we're doing with the pie challenge.
I like that. I like
Yeah.
that. What's our intention? What are we trying to do with the pie challenge? Is our real focus to give away pies?
Yeah, talk to clients and have fun,
I
huh?
think our real focus here is to talk to clients, and we've seen from the list, what's our list up to right now of pies that have been given away? Where are we on the list?
Wow, you guys. So on Monday, I'll update everybody that's fortunate enough to have a client coming in to pick up an IKEA fresh pie. Amazing. An apple or a pumpkin. We've got a clubhouse leader. Our clubhouse leader is Brendan. Brendan is up to, I think, 12 pies or so. So
Wow, 12 pies.
as we make the turn at the clubhouse to go to the back nine holes, he's the leader.
Nice.
I hear that Fidel, I hear Gary Meek, I hear Steve Hillier, I hear people that are making rumblings, but you know, we'll see how many. I say we're probably gonna give out a whole bunch of great pies. So we're going to talk a little bit today about that, about the pie. We're going to also talk about when somebody comes in, what they need to do and be prepared
That's
for.
right. That's right.
And then we're going to talk about what you need to do for next week. But all this wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for Alex's forward thinking with BoldTrail in terms of using technology to do something with our database, right?
That's right. Leveraging technology. That's really what this is about. The idea of giving away pies, I mean, it's just merely the vehicle, if you will. It's the why behind why we do these things. And so what we've been showing you is how to use technology, how to leverage technology to communicate with your database, with your clients.
Right.
And so when we went into this, we on the lead up into November 1st, the launch of this, we went in here and said, look, we're going to show you 10 different times how to input a client into your database. And then once it's inputted, we put our hashtag on it. And then we launched a smart campaign. We're doing all these things that are showing you how to use the platform, how to use the KV Core platform. And it's been really interesting along the way to receive phone calls from agents, last week saying, "Hey, I'm about ready to launch." And so it really has gotten a lot of agents to think.
Good. So let's maybe just step back because there's some of you out there. It's not too late. So it's not too late, but you need to do a modified campaign. So what Alex is going to show you here is what I call the modified campaign. So if you started the pie challenge, this isn't for you. If you haven't started the pie challenge, Gary Ormsby, if you've not started the pie challenge, and I'd love you, this is how you would go in today and start your own pie challenge. It would be modified. Now, it's never perfect, but what is perfect, I can guarantee you what is perfect. When 100 plus clients walk through the doors of this office on the 25th, 26th, or 27th, between 4 and 7, and are greeted by you, and a pie is given to them, and you have real conversations, that's what I'm totally excited about. So that's the prize here. So, Alex, you're going to walk us through if somebody's out there, Paul, if somebody's out there and hasn't done the campaign, walk me through what they could do in the last week here to get on board.
All right. So great question. I never thought you'd ask. So what I'm showing you right here is a smart campaign that's a single email. It's just a single email campaign, and it's inviting your clients in to receive a pie. And the button down here is the invite. It leads to the page that you fill out. It's a Google form, and you fill it out. So we're real late in the game. When do they need to give you the final pie count?
Well, the Google Sheet, I'll send out on Monday. I'll send everybody a snippet of where they stand and who's invited. Great. On Monday, I did it last Monday. So a week from today, on Friday morning, is when it's going to close off. And I'm only buying pies for the people that are on the Google Sheets. Only
So,
buying pies for people on the Google
so
Sheets.
for those agents who are on the call, in the room, whatever it is, and you're wanting to still do this and give away pies, forget about the campaigns, forget about the technology, and you got to pick up the phone and you got to call them directly, and you got to call your past clients, your whoever the clients are, and you got to say, hey, I want to give you a pie. I wouldn't necessarily focus on sending the email out. I'm going to show you how to do the campaign and all that. But guys, where we really get traction in our business, especially right now, is when you pick up the phone and make that call. We were at PCAR yesterday, and the presenter advocated for having 10 conversations a day. If you want to make $300,000 next year, you got to have 10 conversations a day. How about that for a challenge? So I get off track a little bit, but I showed you the single email campaign. I've copied this token right here. Now,
that token's in the chat.
Tokens in the chat.
Okay, so they need to go to the chat and get the token.
Yeah,
So go to the chat and
So
copy
let's
the
go
token.
look at the chat.
Okay.
Chat's right here. So in the chat, there's some a number of different chats I put out there, and we'll touch each one as we go through this. But right here is the token, single email campaign token. And so what do you do with that token?
Copy it.
So you copy the token, yeah. Let me get out of this. And I'm going to go to my campaigns. Just trying to get to all of them. Well, let's get rid of this. Here we go. So let's go back to our dashboard, just so that everyone's clear. Dashboard, when you log in, go down here to marketing, smart campaigns. You come over here, you go to add a campaign, enter the token. See, please enter a campaign token to copy.
Cut and paste it.
You paste it right in there. You hit that icon again. It says, are you sure? So I already have this in. I created it. So I'm not going to do it again, but it's that easy to do.
They'd say yes right there.
That's right. They would say yes, and then be in
And
there.
then what's going to happen after that? It's going to take 15, 20 minutes for the campaign to load up in their campaigns, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
And so let's go and take a look at it. So I sort by pie. And then this is the single campaign. And then guys, come over here and look at your status. Status is important because if it's not turned on, you can't add it to any of your contacts. Got to be turned on. Is that, did we cover?
We covered that. Now that I've gone the token and I'm setting up the campaign,
Okay.
now I just talked to a client. Now I
Okay.
want to send this client the Google Sheet so they can sign up for a pie.
All right. So now we've added the campaign. It's in the My Campaigns. We've turned it on. We've done these things. So now let's go and we'll send it. We'll send it to a contact. So I'm going to go into my demo. And maybe Brett Michael, the former lead singer of Wham. Huge Brett Michael fan back in the day. You, Pitt? Brett? No. So here's the thing. So I'm in Brett Michael right here. I'm going into campaigns. I'm going to add a campaign. And I'm going to go into the pie invite right there. And now I just added it. So now that email is going out. And so if you're starting right now, I just showed you how to do this. We're going to post this video on my school site, and I'll get to that when we're wrapping up. But now it was added. It says that it was added right here manually. Now what do you got to do, Pitt?
So now's the important part. So you guys, we're going to deliver a first-class service like you deliver.
Well, actually,
Always.
one more thing.
Sure.
After you send that email, you got to pick up the phone and call them.
Sure.
You got to pick up the phone and call them. Don't send the email and expect them to reply and go, oh, I was waiting for this invite. Guys, you got to call them. Okay. So go ahead.
So what's going to happen is next Friday, I'm going to have the final list. On Monday, I'll send out the snippet. It's going to tell who signed up for a pie, what type of pie, and what day they're picking up at the office. Great. Now, we're going to make sure it's a great experience when they walk in here to get their pie on the 25th, 26th, or 27th. But in order to make it a great experience, I think there's a couple of things you need to do. So you want to shift gears and talk about that?
Yeah. So that brings us to our subject today. When your client comes in, so you've invited them, you've signed them up, you've made contact, you've talked to them. Now they're coming in to pick up the pie. And when they come in and pick up the pie, if they're an existing homeowner, which many of them will be, you're going to have a CMA report, And so what I wanted to do is to show you a couple different ways to do a CMA report and really emphasize that, the CMA report 15 years ago used to be one of the golden nuggets of an agent because we had all the data and we're the ones that could show the value. But now there's a dozen home sites, third-party sites that you can log into anytime you want, and homeowners can get their CMA report. So it's really doesn't have the value that it used to have, but we're going to go over a couple things here just to show the CMA report and what we have available. So within KV Core, I'll go back to my dashboard just so everyone's clear. I'm going to come down here to all marketing. And right here, there's a CMA builder. Okay. So within the CMA builder, I took some notes here. So I have an address already picked out. So who am I preparing this for?
A client that's coming in to pick up a pie.
Yeah. So if I had Brett Michael ready to come and pick up the pie. So I got Brett Michael. And then I'm going to go in and say he lives at 3919 Skyline Drive. All right. So you see the Google geolocates Skyline Drive. Is their apartment number? There's not. So this is what you do to build a CMA using the system. It generates it. Could take up to 30 seconds. All right, we'll let it generate. All right, so let's go over, it's generating. Let's go to our MetroList. So within MetroList, we have this thing called CloudCMA. How many have heard of CloudCMA in the room? Are we using CloudCMA? So here's CloudCMA. So I have it up right here. CloudCMA, this isn't part of BoldTrail. This is part of our MLS. And we're going to go in and create a CMA report. Client name, Brett Michael. You can put private notes in there. My address, what was my address? 3919.
Skyline, I think.
Skyline, it geolocates. Within here, it auto-populated the bedroom bath. You can put in a cover photo if you'd like. And you can go and fetch listings and move that out of the way. Fetch listings. Let's go back and check on CMA over here. And where is it? So click here to download the CMA. Okay, so this is the CMA it prepares. It goes and it pulls the data through the IDX feed. Real basic CMA.
So you would come into the office and print this ahead of time so that you could, when you're talking to your client, you're giving them the pie, you could say, "Hi, I have a CMA on your house, by the way."
You can do that. And part of the pie challenge, you guys, is that when they're picking up the pie, you're going to have a CMA report and a letter from the heart. So you have to sit and take pen to paper and have some nice stationery and write this down, make it special. So that's the CMA that you get using KV Core. We go over here to CloudCMA and it generates the report. You can customize it. The CloudCMA is a much more detailed report, and you can choose different pages within the report. So this is loading, and you can publish the
So you're just
report.
showing two options that they can
These are
use,
two-
whichever they're more
Exactly.
comfortable with.
Exactly. Now,
Okay.
We can go ahead and view this, and you can view it either in a PDF or in a digital format. And so those are two ways to do it. Each of those is very different. The third way to do it, Steve, are you ready to do a demo for us?
Yep, let me share the screen.
All right. So let me stop my share, and we're going to bring Steve in. So if you have a property that's in a rural setting and doesn't necessarily you're not able to generate a value using the basic algorithms that the platforms use, you could do a CMA report through MLS. Steve, describe it for us.
Well, actually, Alex, I went into that property and it was a little bit more complicated. So what I've done is I've chosen a property that I'm currently listing right now. This is a live scenario. This is a property I'm going to be putting active next week, but it has some complexities just like the rural properties. So I wanted to point out kind of the steps that I would take. So first step is you go in, obviously, find the tax records. Okay, I already have the tax records load up, but you go into the tax, you hit search, put in the address. 57 El Camino is going to be the property. So you pull that up and I find it. Now, the reason I'm doing this is I want to understand, first and foremost, logistics about the property. So I'm sitting on a property with 0.4 acres, 2485, it's a 4.2. Okay, so there's some, I have my CMA, or at least I have my tax record ready, so I go ahead and put that back over here. Now, what I'm going to do is show you some things you have to look for that are unique in a property. So the first thing I do is I want to see if this property's ever been listed before. So I'm going to go do a quick search. And actually what I'm going to do is an address search right here. So I've got the tax record up, and I've got 5700 El Camino.
Why do you want to know, Steve, if it was ever listed before?
Well, I'm going to tell you guys that and why it's important. So let's go ahead and see what we've found. Okay, this property has 5 past listings. The reason that's important is that the attempted marketing time, the last time it expired was in 17, but it was 220 days on the market. So the question I want to ask is, what's unique about this property? And why this is an important exercise is because this is a property, if we look at the tax records, we have 24, almost 2,500 square feet, 4.2, 0.4 acres. You think to yourself, wow, that's a beautiful property down there, you know, somewhere in the Sacramento area, but it was built in 1949. So that tells me a little bit. Okay, I've got a converted garage, tells me a little bit more. So that means that 2,400 square feet, I need to look at about 600 square feet of that is converted from a garage. So I'm really not a 2,500 square foot property, okay? And that's important, and then I'll tell you why. So if I'm looking at this property, I personally am trying to figure out, why didn't it sell? Okay, sold back in 2002 for 250, okay? It's been listed, someone tried 1.3 million, 475, but all of them did not sell. So this is important. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start, I went and looked at the property. Here's what we're dealing with. I have a cinder block house. I have a property that has a whole bunch of different types of fruit trees on it. It's sitting on El Camino. All right, so let's just see what the pictures show us. So I have a cinder block here, and the property itself, let me get you guys out of the way. All right, not great marketing. All right, just seems pretty standard to me. And the property looks just like that right now, because I went and did it in person. And this staircase is literally so steep that it's going to be difficult to even understand who, that was a variable I didn't see just looking at the comps. And it's cinder block, and I have a garage conversion. So do you understand the things you have to look for on a highly unique property? So when I understand those basics, now I realize if I do 2,500 square feet downtown, let's go ahead and do that exercise. I'm going to do a quick radius search. So I get back into search. I'll probably just grab this MLS number, making it simple for me to do a search. So we'll go right here, radius, use the listing number. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find out what's going on within a quarter mile of that property. That's the first thing I do no matter what. So I've got 3 active properties, 570, 570, 11. We're sitting on 1,900, 1,400, 27. Okay. I'm going to go a little bit further out. Let me see if I've got my closed properties. I don't. So I'm going to go closed, pending. I'm going to rerun that search. Okay. Pulled in another property. I have it closed at 630. And that's 1,900 square feet. So I'm going to think to myself, is that a good comp? So let's take a look at it. Okay, this property is on 0.16, so I have a smaller lot. I have a 1,900 square foot house, which actually, you guys, is probably the footprint if I remove the converted garage. Okay, so let's take a look. I'm sorry. And this one only gives me 1 photograph, so it's not actually a good comparable. So I'm going to jump into this, and I'm going to go out to a half a mile. But now I'm actually going to change my square footage, and I'm going to look at stuff 2,500. Maybe I'm going to start at 1,800. I'm going to go, what is going on out there? I have 7 units to look at. Okay, so I now have a 459, 570, 625, and a 1.2. And my closes are between 6 and 7. So let's take a look at the 699. I have a very small lot. I'm a condo community. I can't even use it, right? It's not something I can use, a 0.7 against a 0.4, almost a half an acre. So here's the exercise. You go from a quarter acre, or not a quarter acre, apologies. You go from a quarter mile, half mile, a 3/4 mile, and then you go up to 1 mile. And then you begin to evaluate the data. This is going to be a very difficult property to price. But the seller and I concluded, even though if I look at properties upwards of a half a mile, and my closings tell me I'm at 630, 699, 700, and my actives are 457, 625. Just out of curiosity, I'm at this Kenneth property because it's 1,900 square feet. It's on a decent lot. So I have a competitive property, almost the same size lot, almost the same living size. So let's take a look at that, and then I'll conclude this and throw it back to Alex. Okay, I have what looks to be a nice little property, and it looks like it's very nicely cleaned up, and it has a nice new remodel.
Yeah.
It is not comparable, you guys, because I have a property built in 49, and I have distinct differences. Even though this one has some unique qualities, it's my best comparable. The reality is, being cleaned up, going back into the comparables, this is not going to be my price. We have set the price at $565. Hope that exercise helps, guys. But look at your tax record. Look at the past sales of a property, trying to understand if it was listed 4 different times and it did not sell, why? Well, it has some hits against it. It's on a busy street. It's a cinder block. It's got a converted garage and it has a wickedly steep staircase. But the property's value proposition is it has the ability to do an apartment or an ADU in the back. And also the new fence that they put up, that block wall, I can put a gate. So I'm trying to figure out the best way to present this in marketing. But looking at the basic data, this property is no way, I'll stop the share, but this property is no way going to be a reflection of just pure square footage and lot, because I had to pull away the different types of data, like the conversion, like the fact I'm on a busy street, like I have a cinder block house, and it also struggled in its past 4 listings. So just understanding how to search a property, the data when you do these cloud CMAs is going to look, and it's going to pull an algorithm. As smart agents, we can't rely on the algorithm, I think is what we're hoping to understand here. So this was a better subject, Alex, than the rural property. And I have a 2-unit up in Placerville I'm going to comp out right now, where they did a garage conversion for the 2-unit. So I just wanted to point out to everybody, you got to be really careful when you use some of these cloud CMAs. You personally go in and look at the data, go look at the property. If you can, in this instance for the pie challenge, you're not going to be able to look at the data, okay? You're not going to personally, well, you look at the data, you just can't physically go in and probably have the time to look at every one of these properties that the person getting a pie, but use your common sense, do a little bit of research, and I think that will help you get the value in a really close area. So Alex, I hope that helped, that little exercise. I'll turn it back to you.
No, Steve, that was perfect. And the real point of that is that we've worked really hard now to put our database together to communicate with them. Now we got them coming in, picking up pies. Guys, let's take the time now and not automate the process of the CMA, but let's really do a CMA. So this will be posted on the school platform, and I'll have this recording out there live this afternoon. So you can go back and rewatch that demonstration Steve just did. That's very valuable. I would encourage you all to go in and do a more detailed CMA and don't rely on the algorithms to do it. Now, to that point, I want to share a document with you that I put together. And what I'm focusing on is going back to my original point of we used to have the CMA as this way of bringing value to it. The gold standard, yeah. So now we no longer have that. So what I've done is I put together this document, and it's in the chat. The link is in the chat. And we're going to cover this next week, and it's going to turn into a play. It's going to turn into a smart campaign, because these are all the different ways that we as realtors can add value to our CMA reports. And so it's fairly detailed. You go in and provide context and accuracy, customize the CMA. That's what Steve just did. Go beyond the numbers, and so on and so forth. Guys, go read this document. You can download it right now. It's in the chat. And we're going to come back and talk about this next week as it relates to
the pie challenge.
The pie challenge.
And that was amazing. So
really
before we close up here, I just want to kind of go back to what the pie challenge is about. Yes, it's about handing over an awesome pie to a client.
Yes.
Yes. And it's the human contact of shaking hands and seeing people. But if you're going to go through the trouble of doing that, do your homework so you know more about your client's current value, where they live, because if somebody comes in and gets a pie from Steve, I can guarantee you he's ready to go into a conversation and ask them about their dreams, where they're going, how they feel, where do they see their next move. And that's really the reason you're having and giving out the pies. It's just not to give out calories to somebody. It's actually to be ready to talk about real estate. So that was amazing. I didn't know you were going to do that, Steve. I feel like I would be excited to be one of your clients and have you do a valuation of my home. So with that, though, next week, you want to take us to next week and close us out here?
Yeah, so let me close this out. Next week, we'll be going over this list to add value.
Good.
And then also along with the CMA report, you're also going to be writing a letter to your client, a letter from the heart you're going to be writing. And so we're going to discuss that next week. So come back and we're going to work on that. As I close out, I'll give a plug for my BoldTrail Academy. I added 5 new members this week. I really need to get this to 100 because great things happen when I get to 100 on the platform. So please, if you haven't signed up, I did put a link in the chat to join this. I'm also on the Facebook. I'm not on the Facebook. I thought I had that all mapped out. Right over here, I'm BoldTrail Academy, and I post the meeting notices there. And what I'm receiving right now from clients is just a lot of questions about how to do these sort of things. I can answer those questions in 5 minutes. By all means, just give me a call, and I'd be happy to answer those questions for you.
Alex, I have a final comment if I could.
All right, go ahead, Steve.
So you guys, this is an important exercise, and the different things going on in BoldTrail Academy are very important. This is a free platform for all of you. If you're not a member, please join. It won't always be free. We're just trying to build some great content on how to do databasing. But back to doing CMAs, if you rely on the algorithms, you're going to lose a listing. You've got to be the professional. And in my case, I chose this difficult listing, and someone asked, what are we going to finally list it at? 565 is the price, not 630 or 670 or 700. And I had to have the conversation because why? This is the reason I'm going to make this comment. Sellers are going on Zillow and they're looking at their Z estimate. Z estimate is very misleading when you have a unique characteristics of a property. That's why you're the professional, and just understand, point or figure out those different differences so that you have an educated conversation. Sellers, they just want the truth. There you go.
Thank you, Steve. That's a very good point to make. So with that said, what I want to do is I'm going to close out this recording, and then I'll start the recording back up, and then we'll go into question and answer.
Thank you. Awesome.
Where is my Zoom? There it is.